3 to 4 million Bitcoin has been lost forever, and 1 million people hold 1 to 10 BTC on chain. Over 2 million BTC is held by just this group. So today, we're talking with the founder of a project called VaultCoin, which is changing the game for security on the blockchain. And I'm really excited to introduce to you Dr. Praveen Baratam. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for having me on your channel, and I'm really excited for this too.
Yes, I'm very excited. We've been looking at this project for quite a while, and it's one of the most interesting products that I've ever seen in the crypto space. And it's really, changing the game for crypto and security. So, before we get into all of the specific things, you guys have big upcoming announcements with token launches and pre-sales and product launches. I just want to talk a little bit about what the project actually is and how you guys came about creating it. So, can you just give anyone who has never heard anything about VaultCoin, tell us what VaultCoin is and what the overall mission of the project is?
Mm, it's it's a big problem you just mentioned. It's actually a $3 trillion problem if you count all of crypto, because
Mm-hmm.
crypto custody is at the root of everything. If you can't really hold your crypto, then what's the point of having crypto? That's the entire game here. So it we really set out to solve this problem, and it's been a very long journey. We've started in 2017. It's been 8 years that we are at it, and it's come up in layers and layers and layers. We did not intend to do all this we have done. We actually started solving one problem and then figuring out what's the next problem to solve, and so on. So it's all about securing crypto for people like you and me. That, we believe in crypto, and it's all about keeping your crypto yours, safe and secure, and giving you a good night's sleep. That's all. That's the crux of all of it.
That's like the one important thing I've always seen in crypto is everyone in my channel, everyone watching, anyone who's invested in crypto, you know, most people have been hacked at some point. Most people have experienced some issues. So I think it's such a big problem that you guys are solving.
I mean, you heard of our claims. It's an outrageously bold claim. We say that we can make your crypto unstealable and unlosable. That's like such a brag. I understand, but
Mm-hmm.
let me explain. I mean, how we
Right.
are able to do it. See, uh, most of the crypto that got hacked or stolen is because it was linked to a single person or an entity managing that said crypto with his private keys. So what happens is that if you manage your crypto with just your private keys, and if something happens to those private keys, like they get lost, when I say private keys, it also means seed phrases, because all your private keys are derived from the seed phrase. So if your seed phrase or your private keys derived from it is lost or stolen, your crypto will vanish. There's no other way to do about it. It's the blockchain truth. So how do we do that? So what we thought is, first let's remove individual custody from the equation. So we thought, okay, if people should not be holding their crypto alone, then we have to do something about it. So what we thought is, we first moved the crypto from individual custody to a joint custody vault. It's a simple multi-sig N of N, or if two people are participating in a multi-sig setup, it's like you both are required to sign off any transaction. So that removes that vulnerability wherein your private keys are no longer the weakest point. So both the keys have to be compromised somehow, and that completely changes the game. So,
Right.
but at the same time, that dilutes the self custody and self sovereignty over your own crypto. So we didn't want that. So at that point, we started developing this layer 2 protocol called smart vaults. It's actually a very little neat trick. What it does
Mm-hmm.
is that it allows the crypto locked in this joint custody vault to be spent in multiple ways. And one of those ways is just with your private key, or just another way is just with this your cosigner's private key. The cosigner is, we call them sentinels on our network, but he's a cosigner. So cosigner can also transfer the crypto from the vault, and we can also program it in such a way. These smart vaults are programmable vaults in such a way that both of you can co-sign a transaction and override certain parts. For example, let's keep it simple here. Like, let's say you have 2 Bitcoin or 3 Bitcoin that you really want to safeguard and don't want to lose. So you lock it up in a hybrid custody vault, and you will have absolute uh, priority or power to withdraw from this vault with just your private key, no dependence or no interference from your cosigner in any way. The self
Right.
custody use case and the principles stay intact and undisturbed. And this is the normal use case, right? Generally, not everybody's private keys get leaked. And we don't want to burden people with additional steps and additional back and forth when you really want to just transfer your own funds anywhere you want. But the real magic starts when your private keys are lost. So if your private key is lost, we still can recover the Bitcoin in the hybrid custody vault using your Sentinels key, which is who is a co-signer for your vault. And there is a path in the smart vault's mechanism that allows him to withdraw the funds and then transfer them back to you. But he can never take that without your consent, because your private key always has higher priority than his, and you can always override his any spend attempt that you don't want him to do, as long as your private keys are safe. And the second case is when you're the most feared situation, when your private keys are stolen by some hacker, adversary, whoever it is. It could even be your mate. You don't know. So when your private keys are stolen by someone and he tries to spend from this vault, you and your co-signer or the sentinel here can co-sign a recovery transaction with both your private keys and override any spend attempt by them. So that's the whole thing. That's how we make crypto unstealable and unlosable. It's really a catchy way of saying it, but it's just that your crypto becomes extremely secure in this setup.
Right. And so that's one of the things that I saw on your website is one of your big claims is that you can recover Bitcoin, altcoins, NFTs, even when private keys are lost and stolen. And that seems to be, in my opinion, one of the biggest differentiators, other than, the Sentinels and having those different mechanics in place. But the most simple differentiation between VaultCoin and other products out there is that you can recover even when your private keys are lost or stolen. Is that really what you think it is?
So the whole proposition is we can recover your crypto locked in hybrid custody vaults even when your private keys are lost or stolen within the recovery window. That is the entire proposition. We have to be honest here. So there
Mm-hmm.
is a recovery window within which you have to initiate recovery. Otherwise,
Okay.
transactions never get final, and you can't stop double spends and all that stuff. So there is a recovery window which is configurable, which you can set for yourself when you're creating your vault according to your own circumstances. Let's say you are someone who travels a lot and who is offline frequently, and you might not be able to receive notifications that somebody is trying to meddle with your vault. So you will not have the opportunity immediately to act upon it. So you set your recovery window accordingly. If you want it to be 7 days, let it be 7 days. That is what the models recommend, that you have around 7 days of recovery window for high value vaults. But smaller vaults you can have anywhere between 6 hours to 12 hours. It all depends upon your own
Mm-hmm.
circumstances, actually.
Oh wow. So it sounds like basically with this system and this product that you're creating, it means that hackers are going to be like officially out of a job. It's impossible. Is that really what it is?
Again, I have to restate it here. We have definitely solved crypto custody for everyone in crypto, and we can definitely recover your crypto locked in our vaults even when your private keys are lost or stolen. Let's leave it at that. A little humility
Right.
goes a long way.
Right. So the one thing when I was digging a little bit deeper into your white paper, looking at the project, is like these sentinels, and they're human, and they're people who help approve the transactions. They're earning, it says, upwards of $40,000 a year in fees. And so like what stops them from going rogue and betraying, that individual wallet holder, and maybe not cooperating, because you said like those are also a big key to making sure that you can recover your Bitcoin, altcoins, and NFTs are these sentinels.
So Sentinels are, as I just said, they are co-signers within the network. And to
Mhm.
become a Sentinel in the network, you have to stake vault coin proportionate to the vaults that you're managing. Let's say you are someone who is managing 100 vaults with a total value locked inside them close to 250 BTC, because the average holding of the cohort that we are talking about, or the group of people between 1 and 10 BTC holding 1 and 10 BTC, is 2.5 Bitcoin. So if you're
Mhm.
managing 100 vaults, then you have around 250 BTC worth of vaults under your management. At that point, you would be staking close to 2.5 BTC worth of vault coin on chain as guaranteed. That is the, our models predict that 1% of the vaults, less than 1% of the vaults, need recovery within a period like 12 months to 18 months. Actually, it's
Right.
much bigger than that. 1 in 1000 vaults need recovery, but to be on the conservative side, we said, okay, 1 in 100 vaults would need recovery. So that 1% is staked on chain. And if they misbehave, that 1% will be confiscated by the protocol and it will be used to compensate the users. So
Oh,
there is literally
okay.
no counterparty risk in this system.
Okay, so basically, for the Sentinels, there's certain procedures in place, but it sounds like any person be a Sentinel as long as they have the funds to be part of the network, like to be a Sentinel, or is there specific requirements outside of just having the tokens staked?
So there are, in the initial phases, it's not
Hmm.
just important to have the funds. We would be doing some screening, like do they understand OPSEC properly?
Right.
Can they manage their private keys properly? All these are important. You just can't have, say that I have, okay, I have 2.5 BTC. I want to become a Sentinel, so just make me a Sentinel. So we will give priority to people
Hmm.
in a particular segment, like people staking 2.5 BTC worth of vault coin or something like that, to those who have adequate exposure and experience to managing their own keys
Hmm.
properly. That is the only requirement, really. If you can manage your own hardware wallet properly and the backup seed phrases properly, because there are certain uh, what do you call model mandated things, like you should have at least three backups for your seed phrases distributed across the geography is in proper bank vaults, and all those things will be verified initially. After
Right.
a point, it becomes standard operating procedure, right? For everyone understands how to do these things, like how you know how to run a Ethereum node now, like
Hmm.
similarly. So initially there will be a lot of vetting that happens around Sentinels, and that is the reason why we have focused so much on our community effort. We've been educating and informing people about this system, not just from a user perspective but from a Sentinel perspective. What makes a Sentinel? How can you be a Sentinel? This is obviously a very good opportunity for anyone who wants to make a career in crypto. So we have focused a lot on our community to educate everyone how they can make the best out of this opportunity.
Right. Right. I mean, it sounds like one of the most impactful devices and opportunities in the crypto space that I've ever seen, because I've been hacked before. Like I said before, I think most people have experienced this at some point before. Like, how did you guys even come up with the idea and, developing the idea of the Sentinels, developing the hybrid model? Have you experienced something similar with maybe wallet has been hacked before? How did you even come up with this?
uh, There's a very interesting story behind all of this. I'm going to take a
Hmm.
lot of time to tell you that, but I think it's important that we discuss this at this
Hmm.
point. I have a very interesting background. I'm actually a board certified physician, actually.
Hmm.
Okay, but in my final year in med school, I ganged up with a group of techies who wanted to build a remote medicine platform to help hospital staff coordinate with specialists from across the country for difficult cases. So that's how I got my first break into tech, actually. And after
Okay.
that, a little later, in a few years, I completely pivoted from a healthcare career to tech side of things, and we started building a streaming platform back in 2004. uh, it's like Spotify, but without the cloud and without the smartphones and everything. So it used to work on the Symbian phones back then. The Symbian was
Hmm.
the only smartphone operating system, and it used to come on phones made by Nokia and all. It was revolutionary at that point of time. So we made this thing, and it worked in a very interesting way. What happened was, back then every media actually lived in P2P media sharing networks. So we index the entire P2P space, media space, and we started streaming those files direct onto your smartphone, and you can listen to this. That's my first hint with P2P systems. And
Oh, wow.
frankly, I loved P2P, how it worked and all, even though media sharing became very gray and should not be done, and it was classified as illegal, and a lot of things have to be shut down. At the same time, in the same period, approximately, we stumbled upon this eCash protocol. Have you heard of eCash protocol?
I've heard of it. Yes.
Yeah, so David Chaum came up with this eCash system. It was the first cryptocurrency construct, if you look at it, because they introduced the private key signature based transaction authentication and most of the constructs that are being used today in most cryptocurrencies. But they had a fatal flaw inside that. It's they used a centralized server to keep account balances, who has how much. So, and we thought in our arrogance or whatever that we could actually remove that centralized component and replace it with a distributed hash table that was commonly used in P2P media sharing networks and all. We were deep into that, so we thought we can replace that, and we tried really hard back then, but we couldn't succeed, obviously, otherwise you would have heard of me long time back. So we couldn't succeed, and
Right.
this was a brief history that got me introduced to these electronic cash and electronic payments and everything. A decade progressed, and in the more recent times, what happened, I was working as a head of clinical R&D in a health tech incubator, where we
Hmm.
were developing smart assistants for physicians, something like chat gpt, but more geared towards physicians. And we were developing AI/ML models for identifying patients at high risk and all that stuff. So
Right.
there was this guy called Madhu. He was our CEO, a brilliant guy from Stanford. And one day he was raving about how he can send hundreds of dollars to anyone across the world by using Bitcoin. That was the first time I heard, because I got engrossed in the healthcare tech scenario scene and I never looked out. It
Right.
laser focused into that particular domain. I first thought it was some payment app, okay, PayPal, something he's talking about. Then I started reading about it, and I realized that this Bitcoin solved consensus within peer-to-peer networks using proof of work. I got blown away. It is such a beautiful thing. Frankly, I fell in love with Bitcoin. I read about everything, and I thought I knew that, because this is going to change the world, and
Right.
I wanted to do something in this space, because I come from a tech incubator background. We always believe that you can always do something meaningful and improve the ecosystems. So after work, me and a couple of colleagues or friends who had similar interests, we used to go on long walks debating the problems in the crypto ecosystem at that point of time and how we could solve them. And we noticed that there are really only two big problems in crypto. One was the scalability issue. The transaction throughput was really bad. People used to wait for days or pay exorbitant fees to get their transactions confirmed. And this
Right.
problem got a lot of mind share from the ecosystem too. Everybody wanted to solve this. Yeah, everybody was jumping into this blockchain wars, and all that thing was happening. And the second big problem we noticed was that security was really bad. Exchanges were getting hacked. People were losing fortunes because of a lost piece of paper or a malfunctioning hard drive. you name it, all the horrors were there. So we thought this was a very important thing and also a low hanging fruit because not many people focused on this side of things. So we started looking into the crypto security problem. And in 2017-18 and all, Lightning Network was all the rage. It was the first layer 2 protocol that was proposed, and and we loved the way it increased the scalability in Bitcoin side without actually any making any big changes to the Bitcoin protocol. And we thought if they can address scalability using layer 2 solutions, maybe we can do something on the security side of things using layer 2 constructs. So that's how it started. And after 2 years of banging our heads against the proverbial brick wall, we came up with this idea uh, of creating this smart vaults protocol. You can call it a lucky accident, but we were literally breathing, eating, and drinking smart contracts in Bitcoin at that point of time. So that's how it all began.
Wow. I mean, it sounds like this was something that you were always meant to be a part of, because not many people even know about what came before Bitcoin with eCash and with that. And it seems like, even though the company VaultCoin hasn't been around since the beginning, it seems like the thought has been there about these issues for much longer than even, officially you guys have been around as a company.
So we actually didn't even think about a token and all that stuff. Initially, what we wanted to solve was like on a very techie side of things. We wanted to create a construct that can make our Bitcoin safe. See, in 2017, we got our hands wet too. I mean, Bitcoin was trading at around $1,000 or something like that. We bought a little Bitcoin back then, and during the 2018 bull run, this Bitcoin price started shooting up, and we even had sweaty hands. How do we protect it? As people building software solutions for our living, we know that software can never be watertight. It's always moving. New technology is getting introduced, and you are trying to introduce new features, and software can never be tight. So we thought it has to be solved at a much deeper level, not making better devices, better audited software. It didn't appeal to us, so that's why we started this at the layer 2 level, wherein it is a fundamental construct that works on top of Bitcoin at a fundamental level actually.
Right. And so for people who maybe aren't as tech savvy, I don't want to get too much into all the specific details, but if you just look at hardware wallets today, they, are a few $100s, they could be $200 plus. And what you guys are doing is, at the fundamental level, changing entirely how wallets basically operate and protecting people's money. Like, yes, you use some of the same principles, but you're doing things completely different as well. So, how can you deliver a product with the same security and more, like being able to recover even when your keys are lost or stolen? How can you deliver that for, it says like $20? How is that even possible with all of this time and effort and additional features that no one else even has?
So there are two parts to this. One is the vault side of things, which was in the works for a very long time. And then once our protocol has been vetted, verified, research papers have been published, and the models have been accepted to ACM CCS 24, and all that thing, we got the validation. Then we got into this thing like, how do we get this into the hands of people? I can't just say that use this protocol, you will be fine. That doesn't make any sense to regular people. So we have
Right.
to build an end-to-end solution. And to cut a long story short, we took it on us to build a really competitive and really good end-to-end solution for crypto custody. So but that's a very general statement, right? Where do we
Right.
begin, how do we do it, and all that stuff. So we made two things a priority. The first thing was that it has to be extremely easy. Even for people who are completely new to crypto, who don't understand anything, who probably use a couple of payment apps for their daily purchases and stuff like that. Like my dad, he's 70 years
Right.
old, and he's trying to lead a life in this digitally increasingly digital world, and he should be comfortable was one thing. The second thing was that $200 in certain parts of the world is a fortune. So we
Right.
wanted this to be extremely accessible also. Our initial target was not 10, 20 US dollars. We wanted it to be less than 10 US dollars. So these were the two targets we had in our mind. And the second thing was that here, most of the hardware wallets are actually dumbed down smartphones. They are just doing the same thing but restricting what they are doing. So they have
Right.
everything that a smartphone has: a display, a processor, all the connectivity, a battery to charge. So there are a lot of components inside a hardware wallet, and they had very bad UX. I mean, user experience, in the sense like if you ever input a pin into a hardware wallet, anybody
It's
who has
not the
done that will
easiest. It's
understand the pain of it. You have two arrows to select your digits, and
yep.
then you have to pin is such a pain. Just understand how much of a pain it is for entering a seed phrase into a hardware wallet. So we hated all these things. We thought
Right.
there should be no input capability in the hardware wallet, and we wanted it to be a very, very clever accessory for your smartphone. You are already carrying a very powerful device in your pocket or every minute of your life, so there's no point in building another device that has similar capabilities. So these three approaches, you
Hmm.
know making it a clever accessory, keeping it extremely easy to use, and extremely affordable. These were three priorities that we were not willing to compromise on. So this led us in a path where we started exploring, like, what can we do with tech that costs less than this, that is useful, that is easy. So we started looking at all these credit card style devices. Okay,
Right.
so, and they were very appealing to us because uh, first, they were cheap, they had good capabilities, not to the level of a hardware wallet, but we'll come to that in a minute, where our work actually made a huge impact. So
Hmm.
that was the thing, and we wanted to use the same UX patterns, like QR codes, entering a pin into a smartphone, and all that. We wanted to keep all the familiar bits in our product. So that's how it started, and we reached out to so many different security hardware manufacturers, turned down because we had such huge priorities. Everybody was calling me crazy, like, you want all these things in a device that costs less than 10 USD? Are you crazy? We didn't accept
Right.
defeat. I mean, we went through all these things, and then we finally made it because we cut down on things that the hardware wallet needs. There's nothing inside the hardware wallet. It actually piggies back onto your phone for everything. Most of this stuff,
Hmm.
it just stores your private keys inside in a secure way using the state of the art secure element,
Hmm.
and it has a display on top of it to display your transaction info for secure verification of your transactions. Beyond that, there is nothing inside that. So it brought down the BOQ or BOM, bill of materials, what are all inside. So naturally, the price came down, and we had to do a lot of innovation in terms of getting a display into a credit card. That was like
Right.
uh, insanely difficult. Probably our device is the first device in the world to do it. There's no other device anywhere that can do something similar like this.
Right. As
uh,
thin as a card. Oh
it's
wow.
actually a credit card. It looks like a credit card. We wanted it to look like a credit card.
Hmm.
There's an interesting story behind this. Once I was carrying a hardware wallet in my cabin baggage, and I was traveling
Hmm.
abroad, and I had to remove it in front of everybody in the security check. That
Right.
made me really nervous. Everybody around me knows that I'm carrying a hardware wallet. That means I'm into crypto. I might be carrying crypto, and that makes me vulnerable. I never wanted to face that situation again. So I wanted a device that is very inconspicuous, that doesn't raise any attention from anyone. So many a times security is about hiding in plain sight, right? So I thought this form factor is really good. I can just put it in my pocket. Nobody would even notice that this is a hardware wallet. It just looks like a credit, any other payment card. And this is a black one, right? But if you look at a white one, you cannot even make out that it has a screen.
Wow.
Okay, so
Wow.
that was the priorities, and all this by cutting down on the materials, by cutting down on what goes into it, and cleverly engineering around those things, we brought down the BOM a lot.
Right.
This, and we got down the cost to 20 USD. We couldn't meet our initial target of 10 USD, but I
But
think
still impressive.
20 USD is good enough, is what we decided at that point.
Right. Right. That's really impressive. So, I mean, to be able to do all of that, be able to get everything in the form of a credit card, I guess the one question that I would have, and maybe some other people might think of, is how, because there is a screen on the card, how can you ensure that, because there's no way to charge it, you say you don't need to charge it, how can you ensure that it won't die, like, and you can't use the screen anymore? And if that does happen, how, to still be able to access?
So this device is just like any other hardware wallet, and it has a backup. So
Okay.
let me show you. Uh, so this is the thing. Can you see the seed phrase on top of it? So when you initiate your wallet,
Right.
you actually initiate your seed phrase on top of this. This is not a
Hmm.
functioning seed phrase if somebody is
Right.
trying to click through it. This is just a test device. So don't
Right.
waste your time on this. But you just export your wallet you write down your seed phrase onto a piece of paper, and if this ever dies down, you can get import that into another device and use it. So we
Perfect.
preserve that user experience and all the good practices in the crypto custody. We don't want to say that don't use the seed phrases. No, I find that dumb. You should have an offline seed phrase, and you should keep it safely, and our vaults are going to take care even if that gets stolen, so don't worry about it.
Perfect. And so I saw on the website, and I think, over on Twitter, it seemed like everything was built with mobile first in mind, and that's really what you said. So, do you guys have an app that's coming out? Is it all developed to work with that app? It seems like that's the case, and I think I've seen some graphics. But was that the intention originally, to make it like a mobile first?
That was exactly the intention, because who uses a laptop unless you are hung on to a laptop for work or anything like that. None of my friends have any laptops these days. They just manage everything. Their life revolves around a phone. They do their banking on the phone. They do everything from their phone. So when you have smartphone, which is in the pockets of almost 90% of the population in this world, we thought we have to make it mobile first. So the thought process went in that way, and it was one of our priorities too, which I failed to mention before. But it is supposed to be mobile first, and it's extremely easy to use. You just tap it on your phone, enter the pin using the randomized numpad that is displayed on this card.
Hmm.
So secure pin entry happens like this, and then you create your transaction on your phone and tap it again. You can see the what do you call transaction information like this, and boom, your transaction is done.
That's amazing. So right now, where we're at, I've seen a lot of people talk about you guys on X, and I've seen a lot on your website. But right now there's no wallet available yet for people to buy, and the token is, in the process of having its private sale, depending on when people are watching this. Might already be active, might not be. But what's ultimately the end game for the next 3 to 5 years, like the big milestones that are coming up?
So the wallet was ready for a long time now. I mean, but we are not about launching a hardware wallet. We are about hybrid custody vaults and how they can protect the crypto for everyone. So for hybrid custody vaults to function, you need Sentinels. I mean, Sentinel network has to be up and running. People, if you want Sentinels to be onto the network, they have to stake VLTC on chain. And if they have to stake VLTC on chain, the token has to be up. There's no other way,
Right.
right? So the first milestone for us is really about launching the token, and also building awareness about how all this can really help people protect their crypto. So you see, launching something is one thing, but assuming that people understand your product is another thing. So we wanted to build awareness first. So that's what we've been doing for around 6 months now, spreading the word that there are better ways to protect your crypto, and you don't need to have sleepless nights around it. and also about opportunities within the ecosystem, like why you should become a sentinel, how you can become a sentinel, what's in there for you to become a sentinel, and all that stuff. So we are spreading awareness, and we'll be launching our token soon. And once the token is up, we will launch the staking, so that people can come onto the network, stake VLTC, and become sentinels. The provider should be there on the network before the users come in. So
Right.
it's bootstrapping the network really. So once there are enough sentinels, we launch the Guardian wallet with
Right.
hybrid custody vaults built in, then people can start protecting their crypto using all the things that we have just mentioned already. So after that point, our initial target market, as you have rightly pointed out, is around people holding 1 to 10 Bitcoin. There are about what 1 million people holding 1 to 10 Bitcoin, average 2.5 Bitcoin with each of them, $250 billion in total value locked between, total value within this cohort.
Right.
And that generates around 2 to 2.5 billion dollars in staking demand for VLTC.
Hmm. Which
And
is a lot.
which is a lot. And this good, another big thing is that you need around $500 million to pay as fees for these vaults annually. So there's
Right.
a lot of fee demand also into this. The second phase that we want to do is we want to increase the trust within the ecosystem, so that we can start targeting people with 10 to 100 Bitcoin, which is like 1 million to 10 million net worth in crypto. So
Right.
that market has around 4 to 4.5, not 400, it's $450 billion between them worth of
Right.
BTC. 4.5 million Bitcoin is between them. So at that point, we will triple our target market, which it goes to around 600 or $650 billion, and you would need around $6.5 billion for staking to protect this market. And similarly, we would need around $1.5 billion flowing through the ecosystem as fees. The next phase, the medium term phase, is all about expanding the vault coverage to Ethereum, L2s, and other EVM compatible chains. So all the stable coins and even CBDCs, they will be there by the time we launch all these things. So we'll come into the mix and will greatly, increase the market size and everything. We anticipate somewhere, according to our models, that at least $10 billion is needed to be staked on chain to cater to all these markets. And
Right.
the final phase are what do you call, moonshot or whatever. We want to expand the tech and include multi-party, multi-key vaults, and Sentinel committees to appeal to enterprise custody market, which is like close to 500 billion plus right now. I don't want to
Right.
name numbers here; they're outrageously bold. So let's keep it at that. So this is our vision.
Okay. Wow. I mean, it's really impressive. I think what you said with everyone, like the for my audience, I know, and anyone in the crypto, it is so important to be able to store your crypto and make sure it's safe. Make sure, like you said, you claim it's unstealable and unlosable. Those are big claims, and it's something that is really important. And seeing it all play out has gotten my attention. I was just really excited to be able to talk to you today. And also what you spoke about with hardware wallets and the bad UX design that they have now, and typing in pins and buttons, and I think everyone who's in the crypto space can relate to all of this. So, I mean, thank you so much for joining me today. I think this is a product that's changing the game in the crypto space, and I really appreciate your time just coming on here with me, sharing everything about VaultCoin with my audience. If there's anything else that you think you'd like to leave with my audience, I'd be happy for you to share that. But really, thank you so much for your time today, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Michael, for this opportunity to bring our story to all your followers and audience across the space, and giving us this opportunity to tell our story. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, and I look forward to speaking with you again, hopefully in the future. And I'm excited to see, what comes next for VaultCoin.
Sure, we'll keep you in the loop.